right, everybody, welcome back to the CAIN Stevens Super Show, the super show of all super shows. If you can say that out loud 400 times, I don't know, I'll give you some sort of some sort of prize. We have a good friend of mine, super friend, super guest. We have Amy Turns here, everybody. So I'll give her a round of applause. Amy, how are you?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. We're both living life, sucking air, and this side of the dirt, right? So life's good.
Yeah, exactly. Every morning you can wake up with breath in your lungs, I feel like is a good day. That's what my grandpa always used to say anyways.
I think so too. It's something that I live by. I've been through some things, and just so happened to change my mindset. I used to be pretty depressed when I was younger, kind of would self medicate and all that stuff. But I one thing that I've found the older I get is time is precious, and I'm glad to be here. So here I am on my own podcast. I'm booking a lot of guests, and I'm excited to have you on. You and I are going to talk about something that's near and dear to me because I used to run a karaoke business, and I've always been tied into karaoke pretty good. I met my current wife at karaoke.
Oh,
Uh,
fun.
I had my former wife, and I've been through like so many metamorphoses. I don't know, whatever. Of myself, I went from like the worst of times to the best of times. I've went like full circle through karaoke, but it always got me through, as a musician and everything. But you with your company is your Turns Karaoke, correct?
Yep, that is the name. It's a play on my name, Amy Turns, and I don't have books. So it was going to be Turns the Page Karaoke, but then I felt like that was false advertisement since I don't have books that I want to update. So
it would have been great, like the late 2000 or not late, early 2000s, 90s and stuff. That you would have killed
Yeah.
with that name, right? But now nobody's using books anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want it to be false advertisement. People are like, "Where are the books? Like, how are you going to turn the page?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of false." Gets very confusing. So I was like, "Well, how else can I do it?" And it's like, "Well, it's your turns, and your turn." So it's a little bit of a play on my name. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
No, I love it. So how long have you been doing karaoke? Give me kind of a synopsis of how you became a karaoke company owner. Like when did
Yeah.
you start getting into it big?
Well, I've owned the business for about a year and a half now. So just recently started that. Still kind of in its infancy. But I've been a KJ DJ for about 10 years.
Nice.
I worked for a guy here in Lincoln for 8, 9 years. Took about a year off and then started started this company and stuff. But that's kind of, and I got into it because a friend of mine, he was a KJ, but he had to step down due to some health issues that he was having. And so he had a lot of health complications. And so he was looking to kind of someone to fill his spot. And I had been attending his show for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. And so I kind of like meekly raised him. I was like, can I do it? And, he thought I would have a really good personality with it. And so he taught me pretty much everything I know, or at least a good chunk of it, of what I know. And then I've kind of adapted just based on the environment and what I've learned from other KJs, what to do, what not to do, what works, what doesn't work, especially with the crowds and stuff. So kind of I've tried to adapt everything into my own way, but that's really how I got started.
Nice. So I mean, it's fair to say, I mean, you've been in it for a while, and I mean, karaoke's been going on for I can remember talking to some of the older karaoke goers, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we've been doing this forever," and back when they were popping CDs and all this, and man, I can only imagine how annoying that would have been. Like, imagine having a busy night and having to fumble through all your equipment, but then also having to dig through like you would need an assistant, wouldn't you? So like you would need a
Yeah.
team. It's wild what people went through before. But I mean, I had, when I started my business, I had thousands and thousands of CDs, but then I would just upload all of them, and then I would buy from the companies and I would do all that stuff. But it was crazy how many people would give me their CDs, over time. Like, here, I just
Yeah.
want you to have it so when I come, it's there. So it was like, shout out to all those people who would do that. Karaoke goers are the coolest people, I think. I mean, I'm
They
sure
really
you
are.
agree. So you call your you call your your group with nomies, is that what you call them? What's that all about?
The Nomies.
Yeah.
Well, when I was in high school, I used to have random things go missing. And so a friend of mine and I joked around that, oh, it's the house gnomes taking it. And so the
Hmm.
gnomes have always, I've always loved gnomes and been curious about gnomes. And so when I started the business, you know, a lot of karaoke businesses don't really have mascots or anything like that. And so I wanted to kind of set myself apart a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the way I did it was I created a mascot, which is a little bit of a gnome. Don't know if you can see the tattoo here, but it's a
Oh,
gnome
right
with a,
on. There's the logo right there. Heck
yeah,
yeah.
that's the logo. It's actually, and it looks like the sticker because I created stickers with it. But yeah, I had a friend of mine design up a gnome with a microphone. And so I just kind of went with it. You know, it's people know me every time a birthday or Christmas rolls around. People, it seems like they're gifting me something gnome themed. And so since I was known as some people's know me, it just kind of stuck. And then my regulars at the show over the last year, because of the way I've been posting and stuff on the Facebook page and everything, they just kind of adapted their own motto of like, "Hey, we're your Nomi," and so it's everyone just calls themselves the Nomies of the group, which is kind of fun.
That's awesome. Hey, that's great. You know, it's
Yeah,
kind of like Hulk Hogan and the, Hulkamaniacs out there. You got the nomies.
yeah.
So you got your own fan base. That's great.
I got my homie. I've got my Nomies from other homies. Is what I call them.
See, I used to call my followers like I used to call them Raisin Caniacs, because
That's
I was
awesome.
raising cane people. But the thing that was annoying about calling myself and the company Raisin Cane Karaoke back in the day was people would ask, well, do you have anything to do with the chicken place? And then I was like, man, of course, then I instantly regretted. And of course, I named that before that was even a thing here. But
Yeah.
it got extremely annoying to the point where I would have given anything to change my but hey, well, you got to go with it once you have it, right? I've always been a brand
Especially when you start
person. I
building
like
that
to set a
following.
brand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you build that following, it's hard to rebrand yourself. And so the gnome
Mhm.
is here to the gnome is here to stay.
Gnome is here to stay. Have you ever actually seen a gnome in real life? I mean, what do you believe that gnomes exist, like actual gnomes?
There's a part of me that does think they exist. For
Yeah.
instance, my roommate and I, a bunch of our forks just went missing. Like I work from home, so I don't take forks anywhere. He never takes forks out of the house, but somehow 20 forks just literally up and disappeared. And so, and I always joke, I was like, oh, it's the house gnomes. We must have angered them again. And of course, I'm facetiously saying that. But at the same time, there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe they are real. You see all these cartoons and stuff of how they only
Yeah.
wake up at night and, they don't really do anything when you're awake and stuff. And so a part of me does think that there's some maybe mythologicalness to it.
It
A
sounds
little
to
bit.
me like you have a fork thief on your hand, like a burglar who who doesn't have
Has
any silverware
has
at home.
something. I'm blaming the gnomes, but yeah, I've definitely got something. We both had to buy two sets of new forks. And then all of a sudden, as soon as we both buy forks, all the forks show up. And I mean, we checked the dishwasher, we checked every room, like the forks were nowhere to be found. And just like the gnomes, they love to play tricks on you. And so it's one of those, like I will look in a spot for a specific something like my keys or my wallet or something, and it's not there, and then look at like 5, 10 other places, come back to the original spot, and all of a sudden it's still there. And I'm like, am I just like getting old and crazy and just overlook this? It's like, no, I'm gonna blame the gnomes. Like the gnomes are playing games on me. So a part of me does think that there's something to the whole gnome thing, and that's really how I got started, is because yeah, even in high school, it's things would disappear and then reappear out of nowhere for me.
Well, nothing you're gonna say to me is going to be too out there. Trust me. I mean, especially with my former podcast, the Paranormal Super Show. I
Mm-hmm.
still do a lot of paranormal stuff. I'm going on a paranormal investigation with one of my buddies at Airpark
That's fun.
next week, and I'm just nothing's gonna you saying you believe in gnomes is not going to blow my mind any more than you saying that you're married to one of the forks that you have. You know what I mean? Like the last fork that stayed, is the one you decided to call your own.
Yeah.
But so let's get back into karaoke. I mean, I'll tell you my personal opinion why I loved karaoke so much. The thing I loved about it was you could take a group of so many different people and they all show up, right? And there's all these groups and they're all some people you would look at a person and go, man, there's no way that guy can sing a lick. Or this girl comes in barefoot, with her hair a mess, her shirt's halfway off, and you're like, she's not going to be able to get up there and belt out, Janis Joplin or something, and then of course, as soon as you put them on, they become like these mega stars. Their voices come out, and I always wonder to myself, as a musician, like, and why aren't these people scooped up? Like, what's their deal? And then you start to get to know them. That's the fun part of being the host, is you become friends with all these people, and some of it's not real friendship, some of it is, but you get to learn about people. You get to really have the human experience. So that's
Yeah.
what I loved about it. What do you love about it?
Uh, Kind of something similar, just I love how people from all different walks of life kind of come together. And it's like, it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter what shape, color you are. It's, anyone can come together to share a song and stuff. And also to me, it's building that confidence. That's kind of how I got into karaoke. Was I was with an ex, and I tried karaoke at a pool hall one time, and I sang a particular song that I still sing to this day. And he looked at me and he was just like, "You suck. Don't ever do that again. That was really embarrassing." And so I was mortified. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm really bad. Like I'm never singing again." And it ended up just being, he was very toxic. He was a bit of a narcissist and stuff. And so for the last like year and a half, 2 years that we finished dating, I never sing again. But I always wanted to. Like, we were always at a bar that had karaoke, and so there was always a part of me that wanted to sing, but I had that voice in the back of my head that was like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And so once we finally broke up, I started going to a bar here in Lincoln on a fairly regular basis. And like you said, you kind of meet those friends, those karaoke people. And so I started seeing the same people week after week. And, I started seeing, and some of them were good. Some of them just didn't care. They just got up and did their thing. And regardless if they were good or bad, they were having fun with it. And I was like, I want to get to the point where I can have fun with that. And so I learned how to kind of gain my own confidence and learn my own voice, and find my voice in a way, not just through music, but through my confidence and through my self-esteem through karaoke. And so in a way, I love doing that for people. And as the host, I feel like you get to, because you're involved with everyone, and you kind of get to talk them up a little bit, whether it's through introduction or whether talking them at the table, when someone's singing and stuff. You really get to know kind of their life story and kind of a little bit more about them. And some people already have the confidence. Some people just come in like, yeah, I'm good at karaoke. Like, this is just, I'm here for fun. And some people, it's like they're up there in the microphone, you can see it shaking and they're so
Right.
scared. But, and those are the people I really try to invest in. It's because I want to see that confidence. I don't want them to think that they have to be as good as the next person, or, I'm not that great, but like I can carry a tune. I'm not tone deaf or anything. And so I don't want them to ever think like, oh, it's the KJ is really good, so I have to be really good. It's like, because that's not what karaoke is about. To me, it's about having fun. It's about finding your voice. It's about gaining that confidence and, really that friendship and that camaraderie that, no matter where you're at in life or what you're going through in life, I feel like everyone can kind of take a night off to kick back, sit back, and just kind of have some fun with it for a moment. So
Absolutely. No, that sums it up perfectly. And honestly, that is what karaoke is about. It's about, people getting up with group songs and, building, I knew so many people who they needed the courage, or if they didn't have a friend there, they would ask me to get up there with them. And of course, I knew I was terrible at that particular song, but it's like, who cares? We're at karaoke, right? We're having
yep.
fun. The people that take themselves too seriously in life in general, they just need to kind of loosen up and relax. I used to use it to sharpen my skills as a musician. There's so many ways you can use it to your advantage. It is a huge confidence booster, especially for those who don't have a lot of confidence. It's a way to meet people, guys who are single. It's a way to meet girls who, are single. It's a great way to meet people,
Yeah.
in every single group. And so that's honestly what karaoke is all about. Now, where do you, okay, so are you allowed to talk about where you're at currently, or if you don't want to, that's okay. Where are you right now?
Yeah, so currently I've got one show currently that's a permanent show. It's at Huskerville Pub out in Air Park in Lincoln. It runs from 9 p.m. to about 1:45 a.m. It's scheduled from 9 to 2, but they like to, get everyone out of the bar and stuff by 2 for legal purposes. So it's scheduled from like 9 to 1:45 a.m. And we've got a great showing. Like I said, that's where the Nomies usually show up and things like that. And And then starting back in the fall, we have another Friday night show, which my buddy Ricky, I've hired him to KJ. So that's at One More Bar over around 70th and Vine in Lincoln. And but they're on hiatus because they kind of slow down a lot more because it's a neighborhood bar. So they slow down a lot there in summer. So they put that on pause until about August. But around August or September, that should be picking back up. So
Perfect. You know, I used to be out at Huskerville with my company, so I have nothing but respect for all of them. I love them all very much. My health fell apart at those times, and I just couldn't do it. So you know, my business kind of folded after that. I sold all my stuff, and that's how life goes. But you know, there's always a bigger picture to everything. So
yeah.
you know, I really am grateful to be able to. It's once again so weird how things kind of reach full circle. Here we are. I used to run it out there. I used to sing it years ago out there to, you know, Brett from oh, I forget what the heck was Brett. Do you know Brett Bellamy?
I've heard of him.
I
Yeah, I've
think
heard of
he was You Are the Star karaoke. That's who he was.
okay, yeah.
And he kind of taught me the ropes and everything, showed me what to do. So a shout out to him. Thank you to him for always putting up with my stupid crap all those years. I don't know why he did, but but Huskerville's amazing. You know, Bridget, Bob, all of those
Yep.
guys are awesome. So I'm glad that they're in good hands with you. It sounds like you're doing a great job.
I'll say, and I've got some of your old equipment. I believe I bought some of your old equipment when I started. Between you and Randy, you guys have been really major assets and helped me get my business up and running. Just whether it's from, you know, having equipment that I can purchase or, you know, fixing song files for me, and you know, Randy and just his guidance. And because when I first got started, I wasn't sure what type of equipment. Like I knew what equipment I needed, but I wasn't sure what was high end, what was cheap, what was like, well,
Right.
if I'd be overspending. And so Randy kind of gave me a little bit of a guidance of like, well, here's high end, here's medium, and this is what I'd recommend starting with. And then as things start picking up, if it goes well, you know, upgrading to these kind of things. And so there was a lot of direction. And, you know, that's another thing I love about karaoke is, as you know, even though everyone has their own show or their own company, it's you tend to work together
Yeah.
and find that camaraderie, and realizing it's like, yeah, we're against each other because we have our own companies, but at the same time, we're here to support each other. And so you'll see multiple KJs at other people's show. I've got KJs where I'll go to their shows, you know, during the week when my show isn't running and stuff, just to support them and their show. And so I think you find that a lot again in the karaoke community, is just that camaraderie and that friendship and that support, which I think is something you don't always find in a lot of career fields. And so I absolutely love that aspect of it. And I would definitely say that a lot of my good friends have come from either singing with them or from my karaoke show, or just from, you know, bouncing around from show to show over the years. So
Absolutely. I mean, I've always said that about music and karaoke, or really just business. And I know that it's the competition is high for all of that,
yeah.
but I feel like, especially in Lincoln, I mean, I feel like the market is a buffet for everybody who wants, and we can all get along. You know, I had a lot of people I got along with. You know, I always got along well with Steve-O. You
Yep.
know, all sorts of different people. You know, there's other ones that we just never saw. I just didn't know them. I didn't hate them. I don't dislike them. They're nothing like that. You know, I just I just never understood why people have to take it too far, you know, like want to show
Agreed.
up to a venue and be like, well, I'm better than this guy. I can bring 1,000 people. Well, no, you can't. You know, like we all kind of know that every night's not going to be a, you
Right.
know, killer night. I mean, and that just goes with anything. That goes with being in a band. Every people have others. There's so many things to do. So when
Hmm.
we are there, I know you, just like Randy and I, you put it your all into it. You're giving them a show, you know, something to be happy about. And when it's dead, you're still performing. You're still, I mean,
Yep.
that those are the times where you're really earning it. And that's, a lot of people don't understand that. Like when the night's dead and you have like two or three singers and you're rotating, that's where you're basically James Brown up there. You're working hard, you know, you better be changing jackets, you better all sorts of stuff
That's
because
when I bust out the songs that I dance to, and those are the ones. And you know, I use that time to kind of practice the songs that I'm
yeah,
not maybe the greatest at, and it's also to show people who might be thinking about singing. You know, that way they don't just see me, doing the songs that I'm really good at. So they're just like, oh, I'm definitely not getting up there because she's really good. I've heard people say that. So I purposely choose songs that I've either never done or I haven't practiced, just to kind of show them it's like, you don't have to be good at karaoke. Like, just get up here and laugh at yourself. And, I will get up there, and if I mess up, you'll see me just kind of chuckle and laugh, and I laugh it off. And it's like, there's a part of me that still, has that voice in the back of my head. It's like, you suck, like you're terrible at this. But it's like, I have to remind myself, it's like, no, I don't, because I'm here having fun. I'm here just, singing the week away. It's, whether it's in the shower, whether it's in the car, that's what I tell people at the show. It's like, everyone sings, whether it's you're doing yard work or whatever. It's like, everyone has at least one song that, they sing, and that brings some type of joy, and it gets them to tap their feet and want to sing along to. And those are the songs that I want to hear you sing. It doesn't matter if you're on key, off key. Like, we're not trying to sign you for a record deal. We're literally just trying to get you up here to have some fun, to laugh at yourself. And then when you hear I hear sometimes people take themselves too seriously. And I've even seen it over the years where it's like, you'll hear them under the breath. It's like, oh, that person sucks. Like, oh, this person shouldn't be singing. It's like, but why? Like, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're up there having fun. They've gotten the confidence to at least sing. Like, that's more than what you can say sitting at the table, and even if you are up there singing, like, you haven't gone out for American Idol. You haven't started, your own band. Like, so clearly, like, there's something holding you back. At least they're trying something,
right.
And so I love trying to just give people that credit where credit is due. And again, it really just goes back to trying to step outside of your comfort zone, or step inside. If karaoke and singing is your comfort, stepping inside your comfort zone, and hopefully encouraging other people to step outside their comfort zone and try something new. So
Absolutely. What are your go-to songs? If you had to list 3 songs, like, just right off the bat, I hate to put you on the spot, but like, what are your go-tos that for sure, if I'm singing tonight, these are the ones I'm doing?
That's a good question. It's actually a question I get asked on my dating apps a lot. So I'm as single as a dollar bill, and so the dating apps, like, my go-to, because of karaoke, is like, hey, what are your karaoke songs? And then I get asked that in return. So I already have an answer. It's a Black Horse and a Cherry Tree by Katie Tunstall. Kryptonite by Three Doors Down.
Nice.
And then usually it's either Footloose or You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi, depending on if the crowd needs some livening up or not.
Right. No, that's perfect. That's a nice eclectic set of songs, and I'm sure you have plenty more. Well, I know for a fact, because I've seen your history when I've worked on your computer. So I know you have a lot of songs. I'm obviously doing it to ask for interview purposes, but I kind of know what you sing. I know I generally like to sing, a wide array. I'm a big Ray Charles fan. I like Ray Charles, Drown in My Own Tears. My wife always makes me do break stuff. I used to do a lot of Limp Bizkit. I've always pretended that I was a good white rapper, and so Limp Bizkit lets me live that out. If I used to get drunk enough, I would do, gin and juice and all that stuff with groups of people.
There you go.
Those are fun.
That's always a fun
man, I do miss it. I just I got so burned out of the business side of it. There was a point where, I personally I had like a lot of venues throughout the week, and I had employees and shifting around, and I obviously have trust issues with my gear probably. So I would have to set up every show and tear down. And then I'd get pissed because they didn't roll this cord correctly, or throw my stuff in a heap, So it was like, that type of thing wasn't for me. Like, if I could have just showed up and performed and just been me and thrown a party, because that's what it is. Ask Randy, Randy from, Mr. Chill Entertainment. Randy Wilson's a legend, and a great friend of ours. And the key that he and I always had success with is just throw a party for people, party with people, drink with them, hang out, just be their friend, and people have a good time. It's like, I used to tell people, it's like if you show up at my house and I'm like the drunk uncle who's playing, Def Leppard all night and partying and air guitar, and that's the type of gig I want to be. Like, I just want to hang out and have people enjoy their time. So, and I think you probably do the same. Everyone says you're doing a great job.
Thanks. Yeah, I get that feedback. That the best feedback I could possibly get are the people who come to the show, and then, you know, expect, not the regulars are great. Like, you know, I definitely know that they have fun, but it's those one-off people who randomly, you know, come into the bar and they're like, man, your show is so fun. And I was like, well, thanks. Like, that's the point of it, is, you know, yeah, just to have that weekly party. And that's one reason why I've kind of stuck to only doing the 2 shows, and really just the 1 show, because Ricky does my Friday night show. It's because I don't want to get burnout. I want to be able to show up and give, you know, give that performance and give that energy and that entertainment to, you know, to the crowds and to the regular. You know, occasionally I'll do birthday parties or weddings or, you know, things like that. So like I set that time aside to still be able to do some type of other side entertainment. But as far as the karaoke show goes, I got into it not thinking I was going to do this full time, but really just to do it. I really just wanted 1 show, 1 steady show once a week that, you know, people knew where to find me. They knew where I was going to be caging at. So, because that was the one issue with the one guy I worked with for 8 years, was he would have me bouncing around from week to week. So I was never at the same bar. And so every time people are like, where can we find you next week? And I was like, I honestly don't know. Like, it depends on where he wants to put me. And so that was the most frustrating part, was I could never get a following, even though people really seemed to enjoy my energy and kind of, you know, that. Again, I really try and talk people up. I try and give them nicknames, you know, stage names is what we call it. Things like that, just to, you know, kind of make it more personal for them, because, you know, it's fun when you're called by your own name, but when you show up to a regular karaoke show and you've got your own stage name and stuff that, you know, has a little bit of a funny story behind it or something like that, people tend to really, you know, latch on to that. And it's like, yeah, this is, you know, this is our show, this is our house show and stuff. And so that's a lot of fun. So that's really why I love the Saturday night show.
What are your pet peeves, karaoke wise and non-karaoke wise in life? Let's hear what really grinds your gears.
Tapping the microphone. I cannot stand when people, I tell people all the time, if you tap my microphone, I'm going to tap your face.
Yeah.
It's and everyone knows, like, to the point where it's a running joke that if my regulars want to get on my nerves and stuff, they'll walk up and they'll like pretend to tap on the mic and like, don't you do it, like, you know better. Just because, you know, I don't want them damaging the equipment, the speakers, anything like that. And it's like, have trust. Like, I will turn your mic on. Your mic will be on. Don't worry about that. Like, that is my job to do. When people, you know, harshly blow into it. I had one guy when I was working Sandy's, he legit mic dropped. Like, he just straight up, it was a college kid, mic dropped. And I'm like, don't do, like, I almost kicked him out of the bar. I was like, don't disrespect the equipment. You know, we spend a lot of money and a lot of time researching this equipment, purchasing this equipment. It's not cheap equipment to get. And so just having respect in general for, you know, for our time and our money that goes into it and things like that. So that would be probably my biggest karaoke pet peeve. That, or when people come up to me and they're just like, what should I sing? I don't know. I just met you. I don't know what you sing. Like, unless I see you on a weekly basis, I could maybe give you a couple ideas, but I'm the worst even picking a song for myself. So like, I tell people, I was like, Google it. Like, if you were struggling with trying to find a karaoke song, just Google karaoke songs, you know, and you will come up with 100 different websites with 100 different song listings of what you could possibly choose from. And I'm sure you can find at least one song on there. You know, they've got karaoke Spotify playlists and things. So I always tell people, it's like, use your phone. I'm not Google. I'm not a good resource for that. So, and then they just sit there and stare at you with a blank face. And it's like, I don't know how to help you. Like, I know I'm a KJ, but I'm here to run the music and entertain you, not like make your playlist for you. So those would be my 2 biggest pet peeves for karaoke. And in life in general, I would say just negative people who are mean. I live by the value of respect and kindness. I think being kind goes a really long way in life, because like you, I've suffered with mental illness and stuff, and being really mean to myself and having toxic relationships where they were just mean and abusive and stuff. And so it's just, be kind. You know, people, you don't know what people are going through in life. You don't know what they've suffered from, and they might be using karaoke as a way to escape life for a moment. So it's like, just be kind. That's kind of a necessity, and not just in karaoke, but like in life in general. You know, you see so many people get irritated with people nowadays, especially since the pandemic ended, and it's like, they're suffering too. You know, they're understaffed. I'm sure that their nerves are shot. You know, they're stressed, like we all are. It's just be a little kindness, a smile, a wave. Like, it really goes a long way with people. That, and, you know, just lying in general. Like, we're all adults. Like, we don't need to be lied to. It's like, if you can't make it, don't want to make it. If you don't want to do it, like, just be honest and be like, no, I don't, I don't have the mental capacity for this, or I don't have the energy for this.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being just honest with people. It's, and if they can't handle your honesty, because if you're being kind and you're being honest, then if someone gets upset about that, like, you can't control. That's one thing I've learned in life. Like, you can't control other people. It's, and so I'm kind and respectful at my shows. And if people get upset, with me just being kind and honest with them, like, I've had some people, they'll come in at like 1:30, 1:40 at night, and I've got a full rotation that I'm trying to finish out. And they're like, can I sing? Can I sing? I was like, no. I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I would love to hear you sing if you want to come back next week. But, I've got a full rotation of these people, even new singers that I need to get through. I was like, we're going to be shutting down. And like, the attitudes, like, it's like they feel like I owe it to them to get them up there to sing. It's like, no, we've been here since 9 p.m. Like, I don't owe this to you. I'm sorry that you're missing out, but you're also the one who didn't show up until like 15 minutes until we ended. And so it's, again, that's where it's just like, I've learned I can't control people. I can only control myself. And so just living by that respectful kindness, honesty, mentality, I think goes a long way in life.
Hey, mean people suck. I mean, that's the
They do.
that's the gist
They're
of
the
it.
worst.
They are. I don't get it. You touched on something that completely triggered me was people who spike the mic. People who think they just killed it. Like, I mean, like they're Paul McCartney or something. Like, I think there's only a few people in the world who are who have killed it to the point where they are allowed to spike the mic whenever they want. I would say Paul McCartney's one of them. I'd
Yeah.
say Elton John. He can probably spike the mic whenever he wants when he walks off.
Yeah.
But I could name off quite a few others. But it's like, I'm glad that you killed, Summer Nights or whatever, or some Grease song. But do you really have to throw the mic down? Do you really have to,
Yeah.
blow in it and pop? And I always hated I'm not picking on people, but I always hated. I can say it now because I don't have a business, so what's it matter, right? Um, when people would be like, "Man, crank the reverb up," I need more reverb. It's like, do
Yeah.
you know what reverb is? Like, do you know what it does? Like, I would have guys be like, "Man, you're gonna want to crank the reverb to the top. Like, trust me on this one." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've been running sound for a long time. Like, you don't want that much reverb. You're gonna sound like you're in a freaking shoe or a can.
My another big pet peeve of mine is people who think because I'm a woman that I don't know how to run karaoke. I had a
Yeah.
guy when I first started out at Huskerville last year. He came up to me and he goes, "Well, my dad runs sound for this company." I was like, "Cool, bro. Like, that's really awesome. Like, good for you." And then he gets up to sing for me, and he's holding the mic like all the way out here. And so I crank his mic all the way up, and like, the more he hears his voice in the speaker, the further out he holds his mic. And then he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I need you to turn my mic up. I couldn't hear myself." And I looked at him, I was like, "Hold the mic closer to your mouth." And
Right.
he was like, "What do you mean?" Again, he goes back to like, "My dad runs this." And I was like, "Good for you, but I know what I'm doing. Like, try holding the mic a little closer to your mouth and you will hear yourself." And then he gets up to sing another song and he does, he holds the mic closer to his mouth. And he's like, he looks at me, he goes, "Oh, that worked." And I was like, go figure, if you sing into the mic instead of holding it so like a mile away from your face, that would work. It's, I've even had guys come up to me and like, as I'm setting up, they'll just come up and they go, "Is all this equipment yours?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, you know how to set all this up?" It's like, yeah, I mean, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I don't know how to run technology or
It's
run a
kind of a vital
computer.
part of it.
Yeah, it's not rocket science over here. It's, but yeah, it's one of my favorite stories is I went to midget wrestling at it used to be called 501 Bar. It's called something else now. But I went to midget wrestling there and I ran karaoke there a few times. So I knew their system. I knew how everything worked there. And the MC kept getting feedback on the speakers with the mics and stuff. So they couldn't walk around with the microphone like they wanted to. And so I just casually walked up and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "If you need any help, like I run karaoke here. I know what's going on. Like I'm more than happy to help you out to get the show started." And he looks me directly in the eyes. He goes, "No, this is a man's job." And I was like, "Cool, bruh. Cool." So I went and my buddy was the bartender at the time. And so I went over to him and I was like, "It's a man's job. He's got it." And he goes, "Amy, no." And I was like, "Nope, it's a man's job. I'm going to sit down. Like, I'm going to let the man do their job." And the show was running like 30 minutes late. and they had the MC, like the event manager, the bar manager, and the bartender. So 4 men were over there, and none of them could figure out what was going on. So finally, my buddy, the bartender, comes over to me. He goes, "Amy, please, will you help us? Like, we need to get the show started." All this. I was like, "No." It's like, I see 4 capable men over there. It's apparently a man's job. I offered my help in a very nice way. I was like, I was told this is a man's job, so I'm sitting down. And he just looked at me and he's like, "I will pay for your drinks tonight. Please, like, just help us get this started." And I looked at him, I was like, "For you, I will help you, because I know that this is falling on your shoulders because this is your event, but I'm not doing it for the MC." And so I walk over to the MC and I just kind of look at him. I grab the stool. And I knew what the issue was they were turning their mics up too high, but their gain was down too low. So I just put this stool in the middle of the stage and I turned the gain up on the speakers a little bit. And I walked back, put the stool back, literally like less than a 5-second fix. And I looked at MC and I was like, "Now try it." And he just, like, the look on his face was like, "This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work." And he finally tried it. And the shock on his face when I fixed his issue in less than 5 seconds after they've been battling this for like 45 minutes. And I just looked at him and I was like, "Never send a man to do a woman's job."
Isn't that baffling to you that people still believe that, like that women can't do
Yeah.
anything? Like, I mean, I can't even put together a simple shelf without having my wife put it together for me because I'm so she always laughs. It's like, "I'm so stupid. I just think I can just figure it out. Like, I don't need these. I used to put together,
Yeah.
you know, switch gear in industrial electrical places. I don't need this crap." And then I can't even like put in the first couple of shelves without the thing falling apart. So it's it's like,
Man,
can't we just admit we need women to push us forward? Like, come on.
I wish more men would realize, like, we're not trying to battle you. Like, I'm not trying to prove myself. That's why I was like, I'm trying to help you here. It's
Right.
like, I'm not trying to take your show or your business or anything. Like, I'm legitimately trying to help you. And I think it just comes from because there's not a lot of women, KJs out there. There's not a lot of women DJs. And,
Yeah.
my full-time job is I work in the chemical engineering world. And so there's not a lot of women chemical engineers. So I'm kind of used to that mentality of men being shocked when they see a woman walk into the room, and shocked when they see me like carrying my speakers and carrying all my equipment. And they're shocked that I can lift the speaker over my head to get it on the speaker stand and things like that. It's like, I know what I'm doing. I know the strength that it takes. I know, yes, how to, roll the cords, hook everything up, like make it all sound good and stuff. And it's still to this day, I've been doing this for 10 years and it's still baffling to me and almost comical at this point, that men try and talk down on me in that way. I was at a bar one time and I was simply just fixing the input to get the words on the TV screen, with the HDMI. I literally had just taken the remote. All I had to do was find the input button on the remote. And the guy at the bar looked at me. He goes, "Do you need some help with that?" And I was like, "No, I'm good. Like, I know what I'm doing." And he was like, "Are you sure? Because you're struggling."
See, I knew this was going to happen, and then I lose it, right?
Talking about the guys and girls. And
That's right. And why guys think that women can't figure anything out or that they're not capable of
yeah,
doing something.
especially when it comes to like technology stuff. And
Yeah.
it's, I'm sure there are both men and women out there who struggle with technology. Like, technology is tough. Like, I'm not knocking that. But at the same time, it always cracks me up, especially over the last 10 years, how many guys, and it always, not to throw judgment to anyone who's, listening or watching this, but it always seems to be a little bit more of those macho men who kind of look down on me in that sense, who are just like, "Well, do you need help with that? Do you need, like, it looks like you're struggling there." It's like, no, I'm just looking for the input button on the remote. Like, I know what
Right.
I'm looking for. I know what I need to do. Not to say that I don't ever need help or anything. And, it is nice when, if they see me struggling with the speakers, it's like, "Hey, do you need help?" "No, I'm good, but thank you for offering." The offer is appreciated. But it's those guys who come up and they just think because I'm a woman, I don't know how to connect the chords, or I don't know how to play the music, or I don't know how to, again, the guy with the microphone, and he's like, "Oh, well, you need to turn my mic up." No, you need to just learn how to sing karaoke and hold the mic closer to your mouth. Like,
Right.
it's not a me issue. It's a little bit more of a you issue. But that being said, again, I still try and be nice and, not too much of a jerk about things of like, "No, I know what I'm doing," kind of thing. It's, I still come out with the niceness of just like, "No, I got it. Like, I know what I'm doing. Just wait and see. Like, I'm sure I will impress you by the end of the night if you stick around."
Well, usually is a
So
macho. I mean, could you imagine being like being in like professional wrestling and trying to explain to those guys, like say you had to like tangle with them in the ring or something, and you
Hmm.
got these huge dudes, you know, and they don't want to hear anything. I mean, could you imagine trying to trying to have to explain something to any of them? Like, could you look the Ultimate Warrior in the face and tell him how to clothesline somebody or
Yeah,
run?
exactly. Exactly. It'd be like me trying to tell you, it's like, hey, do you really know how to run a podcast? Like, you sure you know how to do all the editing stuff? And it's just like, yes, of course I do. Like I've been doing this for years, you know? And so
The answer is
it's
no. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, but I'm sure
yeah,
I have a
like no,
picture of a
I
glamour
just
shot of me behind me. I mean, what the hell do I know about it, right?
Yep, exactly. It's like, nope, I just bought all this equipment for the fun of it. Or,
Yeah.
my favorite part is like, this is all yours. Like, yep, all my equipment, like bought it with, they're like, well, how, and you know how to set this up? Nope, I just showed up today and decided to randomly figure it out before, 20 minutes before karaoke starts.
I
Like,
always loved all the gear snobs who would come and they would be like, "Oh, you're not using $4,000 Shure wireless mic." I'm like, "Why? So
mhm.
you can dump your drink on it and throw it to the ground? Why would I
Yeah,
do
or tap it or drop it or
that?"
like
Yeah,
it's, again, like I'm not trying to break the bank because I mean karaoke it's fun, but it's not the most lucrative job. It's why it's not my
yeah,
full-time job. It's I mean it's great fun money. It does help pay the bills and things like that, but it's yeah, I'm not going to be able to retire off of this money. And
right.
so a lot of the money does get reinvested back into the equipment, whether it's upgrades, whether it's replacing wires or mics or things like that. And it's that's what a lot of people don't understand is like the equipment doesn't last forever, especially when you're using it on 1 to 4 times a week, depending on how often you've got shows and stuff. It wears and tears over time, and so then you've got to reinvest into it. And yeah, equipment is not cheap. But I'm also not going to buy really rough use secondhand equipment. So it's
Right.
usually you want to buy kind of newer equipment, which is kind of adds to the price tag and stuff. So it's like that's why I always tell people it's like respect the equipment, just like you're respecting each other. I have a rule at my show. It's been a rule of mine for quite a few years at my show, but it's DBAA. Don't be an asshole. We're not an asshole to the wait staff. We're not an asshole to each other. And most importantly, you're not an asshole to yourself. Like you're not going to get there and be like, oh, I suck. Like, oh, I was terrible. It's like, no, let's be kind to each other. It's let's be kind to the wait staff, let's be kind to ourselves and things like that. And so it's and a lot of my regulars, like whenever I ask them, like especially when I hear people who are being jerks and things like that, I'm like, all right guys, what's the rule? And it's really fun when you hear the entire bar just go DBA, don't be an asshole. It's like, yep, I'm gonna get stickers made. It's like I need to get stickers made for that reason. So but that's my show motto. It's DBAA. So we're kindness always, I believe. So
Absolutely. But are you ready for some ridiculous questions? I want to throw some ridiculous questions at you, but
yeah.
I will say this: you're welcome to say pass. No one's going to judge you on any of that.
Okay.
Nothing's going to be raunchy. Nothing's going to be. Let me just throw some things at you and see how it sticks. All right.
All right.
All right. So, and no one's going to judge you on this. Okay, I promise.
Okay.
I'll be judging you, but only from my mind. Right.
Oh,
So,
that's fair. That's fair.
all right. So, is the Earth flat? Is it round or is it hot dog shaped? What do you think?
I mean, I definitely believe it's round, but I like the hot dog theory shaped. It's uh
Why
I
not?
can
Right?
yeah, I mean, I think it's fun. I also heard someone say it's a donut, and I was like, even better. Like, I
A
feel like, yeah,
donut, donuts and hot dogs are great. A
I
great
mean, any
thought. I mean,
food
if it
related
could be
thing,
flat around, why not? Right?
yeah, but the flat earthers, now they're just crazy. So,
They just reject science and
yeah,
refuse to look at a
exactly.
book, and they think that NASA is a nefarious organization wasting billions of dollars to
Yeah.
to fake the Earth being. I don't get it, but I like to ask that question. I've had some pretty heated debates with flat earthers in the past, and I wouldn't
Oh, I'm
mind having
sure.
more. So
I'm sure they definitely they like to stick to their guns on that. So,
they do. All right, how about Tom Selleck or Burt Reynolds?
oh, tough one. I'm gonna have to go Burt Reynolds.
I know,
Yeah,
what a
there's like,
beautiful hairy man, you know it like,
I know there's something about, and not every man can pull off the hairiness, but I feel
yeah.
like he's one of those men that like he can pull it off and still maintain his like sex appeal. So it's like I gotta
Wasn't
go
he in
Burt
like
Reynolds.
Playgirl, you know, showing all
I
that
think
hair?
it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to say he was like one of the first men in play, or at least one of the first hairy men in
And not
Playgirl.
everybody wants to kiss a full mustache. I mean, like Tom Selleck has the big, you know, like handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
And it's like though that's a cool look, but not everybody wants to, taste some of their omelet or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or like their soup. Like I love when they like the soup or the coffee gets stuck in it. It's like, hey, you got some
Yeah.
more right there.
So I'd say me personally, you know, if I had to kiss Tom Selleck or Burt Reynolds, I'd definitely go with Burt Reynolds, even with a beard or I don't know. But there's something about Burt Reynolds, you know, in his heyday where he was awesome, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we agree on that. What about here's another one for you. I've been kind of cooking up a bunch of weird, ridiculous stuff.
I like
So
them. I like them. They're cool.
why not, right? Do you think a taco is just a spicy cheeseburger and corn and flour tortilla?
No, I
What do
do
you
not.
think a taco really is? You know what I mean? Like my dad we used to load up. So this was our white, and mind you, my mom's side of the family is Hispanic. Okay, but we would load up our taco. We would get the biggest shell we could get a hold of, and mom would make this massive amount of hamburger, and we would load that thing with hamburger, cheese, ketchup. Boom, you got yourself. And my dad would always ask us, like, why wouldn't you just eat a cheeseburger at this point? Like you're not doing anything interesting with it at all. So what do you think a taco really is?
I think a taco is a chili in an edible bowl.
Exactly,
Because I
right?
feel like the
Perfect.
ground beef of chili and like you get all the toppings like the cheese, the sour cream, the onions, and and yeah, when I eat a taco, I like to load it up too, but I also like to load up my chili. It's because here's
Yeah.
the difference. Cheeseburgers have pickles on it. Like
Yeah.
and tacos you don't put pickles on it. So that's really the biggest difference. And the burger's like held together. Whereas
Right.
like chili has the ground beef and it's shredded ground beef. So I feel like a taco is just chili in an edible bowl.
And minestrone is like Italian chili, basically, right? So
Yeah.
I
With
mean,
like a lot
isn't that
of
what it is technically? It's just
weird
like just throw
spelling and stuff.
everything in there and
Yeah.
pasta. Yeah.
Yeah.
I that all sounds great to me. I mean, I had a hamburger for lunch, so I'd take some chili and minestrone too at this point.
So let me ask you a weird question. Are you one of those weird Midwesterners who do chili and cinnamon rolls?
I would, yes. I mean, I don't need it. Like I'm a chili connoisseur. I have my own recipe that goes over
Oh,
really
okay.
well with people. I would do chili cook-offs if I could. I don't know if I'd win, but I'd love to be in it. But I do like the occasional get some of those big old fat cinnamon rolls and just pour that.
Okay.
I like to dip though. There's a lot of people who like to pour it on. Sometimes I'll do that, but I like to take it, pull it apart, and dip it. You know, kind of like eating dessert and dinner too. You don't like it, I can tell by the question. You don't dig it.
Well, I'm from Georgia, and so to me, you have cinnamon rolls and you have chili. So to combine the two together, like it makes sense in my mind, sweet and salty, like sweet and savory. So the idea isn't what's weird to me. It's just very strange to me that that combination has been so popular out here, and it's blown my mind. And at this point, it's just a point of contention. It's just, people are like, well, why haven't you tried it? I'm like, because it's like people saying, why don't I own a pair of cowboy boots because I live in the Midwest? Like,
Right.
because at this point, I want to go against the grain. Like, so many people are like, oh, you should do this. Well, don't tell me what to do. I'm not
Right.
because you told me I should do it. I don't want to do it now.
I don't really know why it's a Midwest thing here. I honestly don't. I don't know if people just had both and thought, man, this is it's just like a runza. You try to explain what a runza is to people in different places, and they have no idea. Like my wife's family, they make their own version of a runza, but
Okay.
it's not that at all. And so when I suggest a runza or call theirs that, they get like disgusted because theirs is a cabbage burger. You know, that's what they do,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
that's what it is.
essentially,
But
yeah.
theirs aren't flat round. They're flat. They're like big fat round ones. So
Okay.
they're legit. They should probably start their own business, but I think Runza would take them down. You know.
That's fair. People love their runza. I will say I like a good homemade runza
Yeah.
versus like the restaurant runza. The restaurant runzas are still decent, like if you just have to get your runza craving. But yeah, trying to explain what a runza is to my southern family is
Right.
it's like one in one ear out the other, just like this doesn't make any sense. I was like, you
They
just kind of
over
have to
pepper it too. Have you ever noticed that especially
yeah,
lately? And I like a lot of pepper. I like spice. I like, tons of anything spicy, but they over pepper their meat and it like
yeah,
you shouldn't bite into it and have like this weird aftertaste. So, but
agreed.
then again,
Yeah.
I drown everything in ketchup and hot sauce. So what the hell does it even matter, right? I might as well just eat that.
I'm a dipper too. Like if it's a sauce, I want to try like all the different sauces. I will have a
Yeah.
plethora of sauces on my
Yep.
plate and people's like, what is wrong with you? It's like, got to change your palate. Like maybe my fry needs honey mustard this time. Maybe now it needs ketchup. And I'm also the weird one that I'll put like sweet relish on everything. I absolutely
Yep.
love sweet relish. So it's, yeah, if it's a condiment, I'm probably using it.
Speaking of condiments, so are you a big fan of pickles? I mean, I am. Do you drink the juice or don't you? I drink the juice sometimes.
No, I always drink the juice. And sometimes I even save the juice and I will cut up a cucumber and throw it in the juice and let it marinate
Yeah,
for
make your
3
own
days.
pickle with it. Yeah.
Yeah, just to like savor the juice, even make it last a little bit longer. And anything pickled, I don't care what it is. If you can pickle it, I want to eat it. I love anything pickled, pickles
Do
in
you
general.
like bread and butter pickles? Some people won't go that far with it.
I love bread and butter. I love dill. My favorite are actually the Famous Dave's Sweet Heat
Yes, they're the
pickles.
best.
Love the Sweet Heat pickles. Love it. Farmer's Market. There was a lady at the Farmer's Market who made pickled cabbage, or like it was like her version of coleslaw, but it was in a vinegar base instead of mayonnaise base. I
Yeah.
do not eat coleslaw, but I ate the entire jar of that just because, again, it was like that sweet and spicy pickle juice with just cabbage.
What about
So
sauerkraut? Are you into
I
that? I'm
love
huge into
I'm
sauerkraut.
German. I'm part German, so I
Yeah.
love sauerkraut. Yeah.
Yeah, I could
I,
eat it
I'm,
by the
I must have
bucket
to put
load.
sauerkraut on like hot dogs. Like I love sauerkraut with sweet relish and some ketchup on hot dogs.
Hell yeah. Man, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'll have to. I've made my own sauerkraut in the past, but like my wife has a family member who's like I guess legendary at it. And if I
Ooh,
ever get to his status, I'll make you some sauerkraut in a jar and I'll send it.
please do.
Yep,
I will love to try that.
absolutely. I got my own pickles. We do a lot of cucumbers and different stuff like that, but I haven't quite made it the best yet. Like it's just not where I need it to be. So hopefully this
Yeah,
year is when I come into my own as a pickler. You know,
that's fair. Well, once you perfect it, let me know, and then I'll come over and I'll try it because I'll be more than happy to give you my professional
I
pickle opinion.
dude, I'll let you have a jar now. Next time you come over, when I'm helping you with your computer or whatever, I'll give you a jar.
Heck
They're all done properly. Everything's good. You're not going to die from them or grow another head or something. So
perfect.
yeah,
I love free pickles. They're awesome.
absolutely. And it's okay to tell me if they suck. I mean, my in-laws are nice to me, but in a nice way. They're like, like ours are better, and they are like theirs are like they send them like all over the country to their family members good. And
Oh,
mine are
that's
like I'm an imitator who hasn't gotten it right yet. And they're just
practice makes perfect though. Practice makes perfect.
yeah, never use pickling spice in it. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing they tell me that I'm doing wrong is sometimes when I run out of ingredients, I'm like, well, I have all this pickling spice, but it does add a certain zest that maybe a person doesn't want to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I bet you've never thought that we talk about pickles, right? On
Right. Yeah,
podcasts
especially on
on
the karaoke
karaoke.
podcast.
All right. One of the last questions I want to ask you is, what were you like in high school? You were in Georgia. Whereabouts in Georgia are you from?
I grew up in from 10 to 18. So my formative years I spent in Savannah, Georgia. So I was a
Okay.
military kid. But I was born in Augusta, Georgia, and then we moved over to Germany for a few years, and then back to Fayetteville, North Carolina. And then when I was like 10, we moved down to Savannah. And so from fifth grade through high school, I was in Savannah. And in high school, I was a bit of a nerd. I was an athletic nerd though. I was kind of an eclectic. Like I had friends who would sit in their homeroom or sit in the art room or sit in, the gym, and they had like their group. And whereas I was kind of the one that bounced around from group to group. I'd go and spend like 5 minutes with my nerd friends, 5 minutes with my art friends, 5 minutes with the athletes. And, I was captain of the soccer team. I was president of the honor council. I was, in honor society. I was like second chair as clarinet and jazz band. I did marching band. I also did marching band for a while. So I was definitely like a little bit of the artsy nerd in high school. And so, not very rememberable, but I had fun with it. Like that's what a lot of people, as I've gotten older and as I've reconnected with people from high school, the one commonality that they all seem to tell me is they appreciated how I was still true to my dorkiness. Because I always called myself a dork. I even used to wear like a really large red pin that said dork on it, with a trucker hat that said Joe Mama on it. And it was like, that was my thing, just because I, kind of like even now, I own my weirdness, and I owned it then because I was like, well, if you're already going to make fun of me for this, like I might as well just lean into it and accept it and like just run with it. And so that, kind of took that power away from people. And I didn't really care what people thought about me. I didn't really care if people judged me. Even to this day, like I think that's why I do so well with karaoke, is like I don't care if people judge me, because that's a you problem, not a me problem, because I'm up here having fun. I'm laughing at myself. I've got other people laughing, whether it's with me or at me, don't know, don't care. It could be both. And yeah, I'm just, I'm a very unique, very eclectic individual, and I kind of always have been. My mom is that way. My mom's always like the life of the party. She's very boisterous, she loves to tell jokes and crack jokes with people. And I'm the same way. Like I love to laugh. I love a good dad joke or a pun, anything that's super corny. And so, and I've kind of always been that way. So
you've flown out of Atlanta probably many times, right? What do you
man,
think of that TSA? That is something to go through, man. We just went through it. It was
yeah.
awful.
I used to live in Atlanta. Atlanta in general is awful to live in.
It's
I lived
wild.
in
My
Atlanta.
niece lives out there, and I'm terrified for
Yeah,
her all the time. I really am.
it is. My favorite part was when I lived out there. I lived out there for 8 months, working a job before I moved out here to Lincoln. And I lived in an apartment complex where it was 3 stories indoors, so you have to walk inside to get you to your doors. And so below me lived this really nice Indian family, and they would cook all the time, so you get like those Indian curry smells. And then above me lived a drug dealer, and so whenever I would walk, and I had the middle apartment, so I learned to love candles and incense, because every day you'd walk in, it was like this weird melody of weed and curry, and it was, you never know which one was going to be more overpowering to the other. And I mean, I was on a first name basis with the cops, just because with all the drug deals and people, their cars got stolen or broken into. And I even considered, I lived like 4 minutes from Buckhead, so I lived kind of in the nicer part of Atlanta is what it was considered, but it was still a little bit on the rougher side. And so Atlanta is a beast all on its own, if you've never been there or if you have visited and stuff. And living there is definitely it was an eye-opener for sure.
Yeah.
And I worked north of the city, but it would still take me, to go 5 miles, it would take me 45 minutes just because of all the traffic regardless. And so I can only imagine if I had worked in the actual city downtown. And so I would always go north of the city and then come south at the end of the day. And so I was always going against traffic, but it would still take me forever to get home, it seemed like. And so I don't miss the traffic. I don't miss the weed curry smells that I would get from my apartment complex or anything like that. So
It's a wild area. I mean, I can now see why every zombie movie is based. I mean, like that's really where the apocalypse is going to hit, right? I mean, if the zombie apocalypse happens, it for sure is happening, like The Walking Dead showed. It's happening
yeah,
in Atlanta, and it's going off from there, is my opinion. But man, it's
I feel
such a
like even if
wild
there was like a
area.
terrorist attack, like don't worry about Washington D.C. Just hit Atlanta. Like Atlanta is one of those areas. I'm just like, it is. You've got so many people, so many things going on there, and But yeah, the zombie apocalypse, when it does, if and when it happens, it's definitely starting in Atlanta for sure. So never go to Atlanta during a zombie apocalypse. That's why I was
Yeah,
like, go to the
never.
mountains. Don't go to the big cities. The big cities aren't going to help you.
All right. Well, I only have one more thing. I like to have people close out when I have an interview. Just give us your Jerry Springer like final thoughts. Give me a word of advice before we go here.
Word of advice, just always be kind and try and share a smile. That's what I tell people. It's, no matter what I'm going through, if I'm having a hard day, I like to try and do something nice for someone else. Whether it's just even giving them a smile, giving them a hug, maybe buying them a cup of coffee, you know, for the person behind you and something, just sharing that love and that kindness. I think we need more of that in the world. And I know that when I'm having a hard day, bringing a smile to someone's face always makes me feel a little lighter, a little bit happier. And like, I just added a little bit of value to the world. So I would just say, you know, always just share that smile and that love and that kindness. So.
That's perfect. And for God's sakes, don't spike the microphone. Don't
Yes,
cup
don't
it.
spike the
Don't do
mics
any
or
of that
tap the mic.
ridiculous. Yeah,
If you tap the mic, I'm tapping your face. That's the rule.
that's right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this interview, Amy. I really do appreciate it. I hope that this gets to your audience and to the rest of Lincoln. And I hope that people can see that you know, you're at the top of your game when it comes to karaoke. So come see her at Huskerville Pub and One More Bar and everywhere else that she is, and be nice to her. Be a nice person, meet people's stuff. But thank you
Yeah.
again for being on this super show with me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kane. This was awesome. This was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. I can't wait to get this nice little interview out, and we'll show the world why karaoke is still awesome. So,
Heck yeah, let's do it. So
all right, thank
keep
you,
being
Amy.
awesome, Kane. Bye.
Take care.